Hey, what's up everybody? Clayton here with Go Analytics, and today I want to show you how to create a rolling average calculation in Power BI. So this will be an awesome DAX guide video, so let's get started. Hey, welcome to our YouTube channel. If you're finding us for the first time, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications to stay up to date on all of our latest videos. All right, before we start today's video, we wanted to talk to you about something that's really exciting. We have a dashboard in a day workshop coming up on June 3rd. So if you want to learn more Power BI skills and build a portfolio dashboard, be sure to check out the registration link down in the description below, and we hopefully will see you there. Now, to get started with today's video is an exciting one. It's a DAX guide video that I get asked about a lot. How do you create a rolling average in Power BI using DAX, or sometimes called a moving average? So without any further ado, let's head on over to my laptop and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so here we are in Power BI desktop. And as you can see, I've already brought in some data here, which is some stock market data for Microsoft over the last 1 year. And we can use this data here to do our example on rolling averages. But before we get to that, you'll also notice that we've added in here a dates table. And this is really important because to create a rolling average, if you think about what a rolling average is, it is time-based. So Power BI needs to understand the time to compute it properly. So we need a robust dates table here so that time intelligence functions that we're going to be using, like dates in period and any other time intelligence functions, they can behave in a manner that we're expecting them to behave. So what do we mean by a robust dates table? Number one is that it must have a dates column that is continuous. So for every single day of the year, or whatever period you're using, could be the 6 months, but you need to have a date for every single day. The next thing you need to do is to mark it as a dates table in Power BI. So we haven't done that in our model here. So I wanted to flip over to Power Query just to show you how to create a very simple dates table. Okay, so I'm going to open up the advanced editor here so we can take a look at how we created this dates table. And this one might be a little bit more than what you need, but the very basic thing that you need from your dates table is this continuous column of dates. So taking a look at our code here, and this might seem a little scary at first, but don't worry, we can walk through it. The first thing we've done here is create a start date. And what we're doing here is we are using today's date to create a rolling 2 years date period here. So our start date is going to be 24 months from today's date, 24 months going backwards. And our end date here is going to be our current date. So using this formula here, we can create a list of numbers from the start date to the end date, and then we convert that list to a table, which then we are able to have a list of dates. So if I go back now to our Power Query editor here, you'll notice here step by step what it does. So it took our current date. So this video was recorded on April 25th, 2025. So we went back 24 months, which took us back to 2023. Our end date, of course, is today's date. Our source then becomes that list of numbers from the start date all the way to the end date, which can be converted to a table. and then we change these the data type to dates, and now we have our date column here. And then all we've done after that was just add additional columns that we might need, like year, month, month name, and so on, all the way to our fiscal year here. So we have a very complete dates table. So once we have this table, we can go back to our Power BI desktop here, and we have to ensure that we have a relationship between the dates table and our fact table here, which is our Microsoft stock. So we're going to be using our date column and mapping it to the date in our stock data. All right, so now we have that one-to-many relationship, and we are ready to proceed to the next step, which is to mark the dates table as a dates table. So we can do that by going to the dates table here and clicking on the ellipsis. And from here, we can select Mark as Date Table. Once I do that, it's going to give us a little bit more information here, and we can toggle this Mark as Date Table. And it's going to ask us to choose what our date column is. So our date column is this date. And I'll click Save. So now we've assigned our dates table as a dates table, and you'll notice that it changes our date column. It gives it a little icon here, which means that now time intelligence functions will behave in a predictable manner. Okay, so in our Microsoft data here, the first thing we need to do is to create our base measure. So we need to think about what we want to visualize. So I'm going to be working with the close price. So if we can take a quick look at this data to show you what it looks like. So we have a date column here, and then we have different prices. So we have an open price, a high, low, close, adjusted close, and then the volume of trade within each day. So we're going to be using the close price for this analysis. So we're going to create a new measure in this table here. So I'm going to right click here and choose new measure. And our new measure here will be close price. And it'll be very simple, just the sum of the close. Instead of sum, let's do average actually of the close price. And then we can select it. It's already picked up that it's a currency. Perfect. So we'd have our close price. So let's throw that onto a visual now just to see what that looks like. And you'll notice, stock market data is very volatile. So it'll be up and down once we put it into our date here. So I'm going to bring in our date column on the x-axis. And I'm going to bring in our close price on the y-axis. So I know it's up and down every day. That's how the stock market goes. But if we're trying to understand trends off of this data, and actually people that work in stock trading and finance, there are two moving averages that are very important to them. There's the 50-day moving average, and there's a 200-day moving average. And then when you compare that to your price, it can signal whether you're in a bull market or in a bear market. So let's create a rolling average for the 50-day, and then similarly, let's do one for the 200-day. Okay, so let's start with our 50-day moving average. So we'll start a new measure here. And we'll call this our 50-day moving average of close price. All right, and so what do we want in this measure? So the first thing we're going to need is use the AVERAGEX function. And this is the function that's going to create our moving average. And here we use the AVERAGEX because we want this to operate row by row. So this is all about row context. So this will go row by row and get our close price for each day that we specify in here. And then it calculates the average of those values. So once we have our 50-day in here, it'll go each day and find the close price and then average it out for all 50 days. So what do we need in this AVERAGEX? So we need a table and then an expression. So our table here is going to be a table of dates. And specifically, we want this table of dates to be filtered for, the previous 50 days from wherever we are in the filter context. So if I'm in January 1st of 2025, I want to go back 50 days from that day and then calculate the average from the starting date all the way to January 1st, 2025. So our table here, we're going to use another DAX function here called DATESINPERIOD. And as you can see here, it takes in a few arguments. The first argument here is a dates column. So we're going to be using our date from our dates table. So I'm choosing here our dates table date. The next argument is a start date. So our start date that we want is the max of the date. And the reason why we do this is because we want to ensure the filter context takes effect here. So if I'm looking at January 5th, that's the max date on that day. So that's why we're using our max date here. And then our third argument here is the number of intervals. So how many days, months, whatever interval we choose, how many of those we want to either move it forward or move it backwards. In our case, we're moving it backwards, and specifically we're moving it back 50 days. So I'm putting minus 50 here. And then we will specify what the interval is. In our case here, it's day. But as you saw, we could choose day, month, quarter, and year. All right, and then I'll close our brackets here for the dates and periods. So we've specified a table here, and a table is going to start at whatever date in the filter context we're looking at, and then moving back 50 days from that specific date. And then for our expression, we just want to pass in our close price here. And we close brackets, and that should be it. So now let's throw this onto our chart here and see what it looks like. So now you can see we eliminate some of that volatility in the data while still capturing the trends. So, we had a trending up here, so we capturing that, and the trending down. So it eliminated all of that volatility and is only showing us now our 50-day moving average. So now let's calculate our 200-day moving average and see how Microsoft stocks are doing. So I'm a lazy programmer, so I want to copy this here instead of having to write it all again. And I'll create a new measure. And I'll paste it in here and adjust the name. So I want this time to be a 200-day moving average. And I'll adjust our interval here. So instead of minus 50, it's going to be minus 200. and I'll commit that. And we have our 200 moving day average, and I can bring it into our chart, and voila, nice trending charts. So in this case now we're able to see where Microsoft stocks are and how they compare to the 50-day moving average and to the 200-day moving average. So it's fairly simple as long as you remember a couple of things. One, you need a robust dates table for this to work properly. And two, just remember the row context. So here we need to use our AVERAGEX instead of average. And this dates and period is a great function for us to specify a dates table, filter down by whichever date period we want. So if we wanted a 1 month rolling, then we could have a minus 30 day, or we can actually specify -1, and instead of having day here as the interval, we would have the month. So that's it. That's how you can create rolling averages using DAX in Power BI. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you're interested in learning more DAX and learning more Power BI tricks, be sure to sign up for our workshop, our Dashboard in a Day workshop coming up June 3rd. If you want to register for that workshop, be sure to check out the description below and find the link to that. As well as if you want to follow along with what we did today, you can find a link down in the description to download our sample Power BI file, and you can check out how we created a date table as well as how we created that moving average measure in Power BI. So as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.